So with the release of Minecraft Dungeons on May 26th of 2020, there's a new game out on the store, obviously the Minecraft Dungeons. With the new game coming out, some people might be wanting some tips and tricks, and that's what I'm here today to give you guys for beginners. Now, Minecraft Dungeons is a new game, so there obviously are going to be different tips that other people will give you. I'm just going to give you my top 5 tips. And just to let you guys know, in the description there is going to be timestamps for each one of my points, so if you guys want to skip one, feel free to. But without further ado, I'm C.A.P Gaming, and let's get right into the video. So guys, for my first tip, it's actually a pretty obvious one. Explore. A lot of people in this game do, at least from what I've seen through playthroughs and live streams I've watched, is everyone just wants to beat the campaign just so they can say they were done with it first. But in order to find everything, because each level pretty much has a ton of secrets, and if you hold down on the D-pad, if you're playing on Xbox, it'll show you how many secrets there are, how many chests there are, and what you guys should do is you should explore. Now, I know it's going to be a lot of backtracking, things like that, but if you don't explore, you're not experiencing the game to its full potential. When you go out and explore, you can find chests, and you can also find extra emeralds. With these emeralds, you can go to the blacksmith or the wandering villager and trade specific things, so that way you can get better weapons and better potions. Another thing you guys should do with exploring is you can kill a lot more mobs, which means that you'll rank up quicker. And with ranking up quicker, it means you have more enchantments and there's more things you can use. When you do, as you can see like in the video, I keep pulling up my map. I don't run with my map out, obviously, but I make sure that I always check every location, because if I've been there, it'll have like a white wall lining the outside, things like that. And in going to every place, killing more mobs, you get those extra enchantments, and you can also find extra emeralds and things like that. And also knowing where you've been helps. With me, at the beginning it was a lot harder for me to understand where I was supposed to go, so yeah, it was nice. But anyways guys, let's move on to my second point. My second tip for you guys is actually one that involves the weapons. Now, just because a weapon does do more damage, so say I have a pickaxe and it does 29 damage, but I only have a sword, that does, let's say, 20 damage. That pickaxe is going to have slower damage per second, because the pickaxe swing is a one-time swing. It does a ton of damage, but it's a one-time swing straight down. Whereas a sword, I can hit A 3 times, and it does 3 swipe things, and it does a harder jab at the end, which does more damage. So, always make sure you're looking at the weapons, and always make sure that you're looking at the enchantments on the weapons, because there might be one that you don't really need. Like one of the bows was faster firing rate for a bow. At the moment, I don't need that. Maybe I'll need it later on so I can keep that bow. But also, just knowing what enchantments you're going to be using, what suits your playstyle best. Since this is a roleplay game, it is a lot different for each player. So there's no one specific way, no one specific weapon you should use. Honestly, I prefer spears over anything because they have a longer hit range, and with some of the bosses, they get close to you and you just take a ton of damage because you can't dodge them when you're using the sword, because you have to be so close. Same thing with a pickaxe. So for me, a spear is my favorite, but for you, it might be a sword or an axe or something like that. So don't always just look at which one does more damage. Look at which one has fire, or which one swings faster, which one has more range, and what enchantments that are actually on this that you could use. Because one might have leeching, which will help you heal while you are actually attacking him, whereas another one might only have like extra damage. I prefer to do leeching just because in this game, sometimes when you're in the zones where you have to fight everyone, like skeletons will come out of nowhere and shoot at you, and sometimes you can have projectile things, but I don't like wasting enchantments on projectile stuff. So for me, I enjoy leeching, because then if I kill a mob, I get health back. But anyways, guys, let's move on to the next point. My third tip is don't be afraid to put enchantments on your weapons, because you can always salvage them. And always make sure that you're salvaging your weapons. If you're not going to use them, like if you've got a level 1 weapon, go ahead and salvage it. You're not going to use it again. But when you do salvage it, always make sure that you also pay attention to the enchantments. Like I said in the last one, if you don't pay attention to your enchantments, then you're just kind of throwing away your enchantment slots. And then, like for me, I had a problem where I didn't realize what enchantments were on my sword, and I actually kind of screwed myself over because I had this sword that had really bad enchantments on it and did less damage than the weapon I had previously, but I had already salvaged the other weapon because it was a 10 and my new sword was a 13 or level 13. So it comes down to like what enchantments are on the weapon, what enchantments they allow for the weapon, and things like that. So I know that was kind of a small point, but enchantments are really big in this game because of how much they do for you, and each one's different for everyone's playstyle, like I said. So for me, I like to just rush in. I don't like to have a strategy or anything like that. I just rush in. So for me, it's a little bit different than what it might be for you guys. But anyways, guys, I'm going to move on to my next spot about the potions. Okay, so with the fourth point, it's about the potions. With the potions, there are so many different ones that it's, again, it comes down to your preference. But you should always find potions that work for you. So for me, I use the firework, which is like the first one you get. And it still works out. Eventually, it'll probably stop working, but there's also ones that involve souls. And the ones that involve souls also come in with the first point, to where you should always go and kill as many of the things that you possibly can in order to fill up that soul thing. Because in a lot of mine, I didn't really understand how the souls worked, but I have a staff, or I've got something that involves healing. Like in this video, I think it is my B spot that involves healing, and then about a couple minutes later, I'll have a new one where it's something that will actually do about 115 damage in like a blast radius, depending on how many souls I have. So always make sure you know how to use your potions. And if you don't know how to use your potions, you can always look something up. Or you guys can ask me. If you don't know how a potion does, ask me. I've been doing a lot of studying on this game and doing a lot of work on it, figuring out what everything is. And I've got mostly everything unlocked so far, I believe. But yeah. So that's what I'm going to say about potions. They're really good. Don't get me wrong. That you need to use these potions. If you're close to dying, using one that has healing. If you know that you are going to be fighting with someone, or you know you're going to be coming up to a boss fight or something like that. Typically the boss fights are pretty easy to know when they're going to be, because it's just a giant open area. If you know something like that's going to happen, maybe hold on to a couple potions. Because for me, I've got a mushroom. I used to have a mushroom that would make me hit faster, so I'd use that on the boss fights. I have that healing one, but it takes souls, so sometimes it only works like half. I like to say half-assed, as a lot of people will, but really that's all I've got on potions. They're really good. Make sure you use them. Just make sure you know how to use them. So with that being said, let's go on to my last point of this video. So guys, for my last point, I actually want to talk about make sure you're playing the easier levels first. I know it's going to take forever, and I know you want to beat the campaign, but you need to take it slow. If you go slow and learn everything, you'll be a lot better for the final parts of the game. Now, I'm also going to go back and say something about the first or second point, whichever one was the adventuring one. When you do all your adventuring, make sure you kill every single mob. Take it slow. Kill every mob. Get your enchantments. The enchantments are what are going to help you the most. Now, I'm not saying that you only need enchantments. Like, I'm not saying a level 1 sword could kill a boss or anything like that, as long as it has good enchantments. What I am saying, though, is that you guys can go back and do all of these different things. Like, you can put on enchantments, things like that. And you can also, like, I don't know. It's just, you need to go back and adventure. If you don't adventure, there's no point in playing this RPG game. You need to take your time and go slow. Taking your time is one of the best ways that you can beat this game in a relative manner. But in saying that, also sometimes don't waste so much time. If you know there's like, you missed 1% of the mobs, don't worry about it. Don't run all the way back to the beginning of the level. You can always try and kill more mobs on the next level. Just be more cautious next time. But yeah, so taking your time is a big thing. Other than that, guys, I think that's it for my points. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This is my first time doing a tips video on Minecraft Dungeons. If you guys want me to do a second tips video, I actually have 5 more tips that I was going to put on this video, but then I realized that it would have been about 20 minutes long, so I decided not to do it. Let me know down in the comments, and if you are new, don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you don't mind leaving a like if you enjoyed, that would be awesome. But anyways, guys, I'm going to end this video here. This has been C.A.P Gaming Tips and Tutorials, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Adios.